Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Movie Bucket here on Screen Stealers. Every after popcorn, your soft drink, and maybe even a soft pretzel, it's time to talk about another movie. Yay, another movie. I am Brooke, and might have moved back to the suburbs. No, wait, she got married and had twins. And it's better to have died.
That's
Truly.
so real. That is so
Mhm.
real. And hola, I'm Eduardo. And are you sure you're a fan? Are you sure?
Hmm.
Like 100% sure?
When did you find out you were a fan? Anyway, hello everyone. I am River, and RIP Jersey. You were a real one. Gone too soon.
R.I.P.
Justice for Jersey.
Truly.
First time those words have ever been spoken. But um, So, as part of Female Directors Month here on Movie Bucket, we're now taking a look at the 2018 film "Can You Ever Forgive Me" by Marielle Heller, nominated for multiple Academy Awards. Last week, I erroneously said only Melissa McCarthy was nominated for this film. It actually received a decent amount of Academy Award nominations, a whole three of them. One for Melissa McCarthy, as previously mentioned, one for Richard E. Grant for supporting actor, which I did not know, and then also one for adapted screenplay. So my apologies to Richard E. Grant and the screenwriters for this film. I left you out last week, and I feel bad. And this was my choice. One, I love Melissa McCarthy. We haven't had a chance to talk about Mother on this channel yet, but
Yeah.
so it felt like it was about damn time.
Mhm.
Secondly,
Absolutely.
um, I wanted to do a drama and not a sad drama, just a drama, right?
Mhm.
And there are like sad elements to this movie, but I normally come in with the boom boom depression. Like this just kind of what I do. And sometimes you got to switch it up and you can't be predictable. I hope to never be predictable on this podcast. Cut to me doing
You,
like three
you
or
know what
four
it
months
is?
this year.
You know what it is? You usually give us just straight up depression without like not even an ounce of comedic relief.
Yeah,
And
truly.
this was a drama and it was like sad in a lot of moments, but it did have like a lot of moments that were also fun? Question mark? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know how to
I
describe
will
it.
just say, looking ahead to some of the other choices I will be making later throughout this year, I don't think I am going straight depression at all for the rest of the year. Um,
Okay, thank you.
so
We
a
thank
quick
God.
spoiler:
can't.
I only have a few more picks this year, mainly because of the way we set up a couple of these months, where it's more like just a group consensus for all of our choices. And then of course River and Eduardo will both have their birthday months to do their thing. But I only have like 4 or 5 more choices this year, and I don't think any of them are like only depression. Even the one that you all know that is like known for being really depressing, it's not just depressing. Um, so but we'll talk about that when we get to August. Here, we're talking about Melissa McCarthy and Can You Ever Forgive Me today?
Yeah.
Also, it was my first time watching this. I loved when you chose this. I was excited because somehow, like a little while ago, I think it was like at the end of last year, I did a Melissa McCarthy like full watch of like what I thought were all of her movies, but somehow this one got missed in the bunch, and I didn't get to it. So I was excited to watch it now. And thank you for choosing it because spoiler, I like this movie.
Yeah. First watch for all of us, in fact. And
Oh,
I'm
really?
kind
You
of
did? Okay.
embarrassed to have not seen this before. Well, I mentioned last week one, I love Melissa McCarthy too. Marielle Heller also directed Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which is a movie I do really like. Um, but I hadn't had the opportunity to ever get around to this, but I had heard it was one of those performances that could theoretically define a career. Um, and that interested the hell out of me. So I have been keeping tabs and trying to find a good excuse to carve time to watch this, and I found one finally.
There you
So
go.
Thank you for dragging us into it with you.
Yeah,
kicking and screaming.
absolutely. It's it's always interesting to me when you get to see a comedic actor play a more dramatic role Like Melissa McCarthy, I know her more for like being more funny and being in more funny roles. So seeing her be a little more serious and be a little more dramatic was really, really interesting. And I'm really excited to get into it once we get to that.
Yeah, and might I say, I think like, of course, I do love her as a comedic actress. Like, I think she's fantastic. But honestly, I thought she was just as good as a dramatic actress here than she is at comedy. Like,
Mhm.
she was able to deliver the same level, I think, in my opinion,
Mhm.
here.
Well, and we should also mention real quick. We know we've kind of focused on Melissa McCarthy at this point. I just want to be quick and sincere and say this. A lot of the times with comedic actors, they just do comedies because that gets them bookings and stuff. And a lot of the times when you get pigeonholed into that comedy area, it can be really hard to break out of that box and to do things that are more dramatic. I'm looking at Melissa McCarthy. I'm looking at Adam Sandler. I'm looking at Jim Carrey. I'm looking at
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, Amy Poehler, like people
Mhm.
that can do more, and we have seen them do things that aren't just comedy in the past, but it's just what they're known for. So when you see, oh, it's a Melissa McCarthy movie, that sounds like a fun time. Like that's the energy that Hollywood looks for this role. And I also want to mention too, specifically with Melissa McCarthy, she is a heavier woman. And that has also made it harder from what she has said in interviews in the past. She said sometimes Hollywood doesn't think people will buy me in a dramatic role. And that
Yeah.
fucking sucks. So just putting that out there, just for the record.
Yeah. Yeah, but this time, like Melissa really, we'll really get into all the nitty-gritty of it all, but as you said, River, I do think she really excelled in this. And I always think that like when comedic actors do drama, they always really do super well at it. And when like dramatic actors try to do comedy, they just cannot keep up. It's always really interesting to see how comedic actors can do drama, but dramatic actors struggle to do comedy.
Yes. That's something that like I never thought of it exactly, but it's something that I now that you mention it and I'm thinking about it, yes.
Mhm.
That is
Well,
very true.
well, also you have to think what dramatic actors go out of their way to do a comedy. Really, not very many of them, because there is this whole thing in Hollywood about being seen as a serious actor, right?
Mm.
Like, can you imagine in the next, like, can you imagine somebody like who's somebody that you would think of today that has that serious actor label, right? That
Mhm.
has tried to do this recently. There aren't that many of them. And if you can figure out one, I can guarantee you it's because they haven't had a lot of roles lately. Like, it's just not something that people normally do unless it's like a bit part cameo or something like that.
Yeah.
We should also mention Melissa McCarthy, not the only person in this movie. Also, involved in
Yes.
this cast are Richard E. Grant, who, oh my God, he's incredible in this movie.
Also did a
He's
great
so
job.
good.
Yes.
Dolly Wells, Jane Curtin, who I fucking love. I love Jane Curtin.
Yes.
Jane Curtin, just quick sidebar, real quick. I'm going to out myself very publicly here. There is a series of TV movies called The Librarian that aired on TNT back in the late 2000s. She is in those movies, and I love her to death, and I love those movies to death. I also love the sequel series, The Librarians, which is just as good. She's not in that as much. She's in a couple episodes of that, but she is lovely, and I love her to pieces. Shout out Jane Curtin. Ben Falcone, Anna Devere Smith, Mark Evan Jackson is in this, and I love Mark Evan Jackson. He's in The Good Place, and if you know anything about my personal love for The Good Place, it was lovely to see him. Christian Navarro is in this. Like, there's some people that I recognize the second they pop up on screen from doing other work, which I didn't fully expect coming into this movie.
Wait, the guy that you mentioned that's in The Good Place was the lawyer at the end, right?
He is. I don't want to spoil it. Okay, he's also Captain Holt's husband in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's what I can say. That's who.
Yes, I'm saying like the guy in this movie, he was like the lawyer that came up in the end.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Yes. Okay.
I'm trying to. it's very hard to talk about The Good Place without spoiling it in any capacity. So
Oh
I
no,
try
yeah,
to
don't. It's too good to
Yeah.
spoil to
It's
anyone
too.
who hasn't seen.
If you have not watched The Good Place, make time. Just make time.
It's not that much time. It's pretty
It's
short.
4
So
seasons, 13
if
episodes
you
each
got a
season.
weekend,
You got a weekend. I got the whole box set. If we're close enough, I might send it to you over mail tomorrow. But enough about The Good Place. This movie is just really interesting to me. The concept is so cool. And it's an interesting type of biopic where it's a biography on a biographer who is also a con artist forger.
yes,
There we go.
yes, a lot of layers, and honestly, it's part of why I love it. Like it's because it's a very niche thing, which is kind of like when she meets Jack, she kind of tries to explain it to him, and you're like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. But to the people that do get it, it is like it's a serious thing, like it's a huge thing. And I love that part of it as well, of it being like this almost like a hidden world, basically, you know, like a
How to Train Your Dragon 3?
Sure. You know what? Sure.
But the thing is, like, because it's so niche, like when something happens or like something like this, everyone knows about. Like you are not safe anywhere. Like you are just everyone knows.
Yeah, truly.
So there's two sides to it.
Yeah, it was very interesting to take a peek into this world of forgery and like selling like literary like letters and stuff like that. It's very interesting to see how all of that works and the reputation that someone that forges something might accumulate as soon as they get found out. It's very, very interesting. And yeah, Melissa McCarthy's character Lee, just I struggled with her character, not because I didn't like her, but because I wanted to root for her, but at the same time I didn't. I was like, yeah, you go girl, but at the same time I was like, when are you going to stop being this way?
But like, because that's the thing, like I sympathize with her in the beginning with like she starts doing it kind of to survive, right? Because she was trying to live to like survive as a writer, doing quote unquote like the right thing or whatever, right? Or like an honest job, being a bitch or whatever, but like, you know, that's fine. It's real. She's very real. And I sympathize with her when she started and like the trying to get by in the beginning, but the continuing to do it like and then upping it as well, like just doing more and more and more. Like I kind of understand and I have sympathy for it, but like also at some point you could have just when you got enough to go by, you can just go look for another job and not have to continue doing this as well. Like you don't have to keep it's kind of like Breaking Bad, like you know what I mean, like at some point you can just stop.
I think the comparison to Breaking Bad is actually weirdly perfect because it's like, okay, you should stop now, but this person like gets so like this crime that they're committing kind of becomes part of their personality and they just cannot get it gives them validation and it gives them something to do and they kind of hate their life unless they're doing this, so they kind of feel like they have to keep going, which is always a very interesting characteristic to have. And especially seeing a woman do it is also very interesting because I don't think we get a lot of like incredibly flawed female characters anymore. A lot of the times it's like, oh, it's a female character, they have to be perfect, or like they have to be Mary Sue's. We've talked about like the idea of a Mary Sue before. And so I like the idea of like more flawed, kind of bitchy, mean women in my
more
screens.
movies about mean lesbians, please.
Yes, please give me more mean lesbians.
I love it.
Well, and I do want to quickly note, I don't think a lot of people even coming out of this movie are fully going to recognize that she's a lesbian. Like,
girl,
even okay, I'm just going to be blunt. right?
Mhm.
She doesn't really talk about her love life much throughout the film.
Mhm.
We
I mean, maybe
do.
she's bisexual. Who knows, right?
Well,
But
no, I'm not saying that. But
uh-huh.
what I'm getting at is until quite literally the end of the movie, like near the end of the movie, when she's meeting with her ex Elaine, right? They don't really implicitly go in any direction for her. But if you connect the dots before then, it's pretty easy to
she
put the
goes on
pieces
a date with a woman.
Okay,
Yeah,
Middle-
and
yes,
like,
but
yeah,
even
that's a
then,
date.
and
it's
Like
like
not
when,
you know,
explicit.
but like when she talks to Jack about like their relationship, she said, "Oh yeah, my ex, she really wanted
she
me to like be friends with her friends and like listen to her emotions." And so that, I think, to me, it's very explicitly like telling you this person dates women at the very least, like whether
Mhm.
they're lesbian or bisexual or whatever, this person has dated women before. And so I think it's kind of like, if you don't get it, I fear you didn't watch the movie.
Real,
yeah.
So
real. It's one of those things like it's not nearly as overt as a lot of other movies would admit. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
yeah, that is true.
Well, like when you get like Jack is literally like picking up men and like flirting with as many different men as he probably can throughout this movie, and like
Mhm.
fucking Tony from 13 Reasons Why in her apartment. That is him, by the way. Um,
That is crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
I'm just saying, comparatively, they are way more overt with him. But I think that's also because her sexuality doesn't matter nearly as much as
Yeah,
everything
I was
else,
gonna say, yeah, it's just
right?
a
Mhm.
part of it.
Like, I cannot begin to express how much I love the conversation she has with Marjorie in her office, like very early in the movie,
Yeah.
where she's like, "What do you want me to do, Marjorie?" Marjorie's like, "Well, you could try like being nice to people and like promoting yourself." And she's like, "Oh yeah, okay, that's gonna work." I'm like,
Yeah. She said,
She's a
yeah, sure, sure. Yeah.
she's a bitch, and I love her.
She's so real
like
for that because, like, no, fuck off.
this is arguably, and I can't believe I'm saying this is probably the most cunty performance I've ever seen Melissa McCarthy give. Like, look.
Well, also
Truly,
because
like, it
most of the
was
time,
amazing.
yeah, also because most of the time Melissa McCarthy plays like very nice characters. Like when, especially in her comedies, as we've talked about, she plays like very nice characters or very witty characters. And so this character just being straight up a cunt is
Mhm.
lovely to see. And so it does give her like this very different vibe. And I do agree. That makes it the cuntiest performance that she's had.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Melissa McCarthy. As you cannot tell, we're all big fans.
Mhm. Well, I
100%.
mean, considering here, I know River is quite a big Gilmore Girls fan, and I know she did some stuff on Gilmore Girls back in the day.
Oh my
Um,
God, she is one of my favorite characters. You guys, and we'll get to the cat part, but you know, I am thinking of getting a new cat. And
Mhm.
Suki is her character's name, is one of the names that I am considering. So that will tell you something.
Well, there
mhm,
you go.
Love it. Love her.
mhm. So I'm just saying, we all have very large amount of reasons to love Melissa McCarthy here.
Yes.
Um,
This is not a
but
safe space to hate on Melissa McCarthy. If
Oh,
anyone,
absolutely not.
absolutely not.
love her or get out. That's the real talk.
Truly.
Um, but no, it's really I wrote in the little letterbox review I published. This movie lives or dies on the performances of Melissa McCarthy and Richard E. Grant. If they are
Mhm.
not good, this movie doesn't work. And but if you, I'm gonna read directly what I put on Letterboxd because I think it's kind of perfect. This film lives or dies by primarily those two performances, but what two incredible performances to live or die by? Like
Yeah.
quite
They really
literally.
carry it, both of them.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
really do. Yeah, like the relationship that, like, and the chemistry that Lee and Jack have is very interesting. And as you said, it could really fall apart if the actors playing these roles just either don't get along or just don't connect. And both Melissa and Richard do really like make that chemistry palpable. Like you can tell that they have like history there, and like you can tell that there is like this weird, strange connection and love-hate relationship between them. It's very interesting, and they both do an amazing job at it. So I do agree. Like, had this been any other actors, maybe it wouldn't have worked. So I am glad that we got these two characters. Well, these two actors playing these characters.
Yeah, when you were talking about the nominations and you said that they both were nominated for their performances, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
a lot
That
of
makes
sense.
sense. And one thing that I was thinking about with their about their characters, and we were talking about like them not being perfect, and like we can sympathize with, at least me, like with both of them, but we can also be like, at their mistakes, you know, when they're like fucking up, you're like, oh my god, please do better. I feel like it's kind of similar to what we talked about when we were talking about the second mother, which in regards to like how real the characters feel with being like having those two sides of like they're so flawed, but you also want to root for them, and kind of like they do bad things, but at the end of the day, like the real villain here is the system that makes like kind of pushes them to do those things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you agree, but that's kind of how I see it. Of course, there's the part of like individual responsibility or whatever, but like, you know, you understand what I mean, of like, depending on what situation you put people, they will make choices that might go against their morals or whatever. To survive, right?
Absolutely.
Well, no, and I want to jump back to that conversation in her office that she's having with Marjorie towards the beginning of the movie, where she's talking about they paid Tom Clancy $3 million to write a book, and I don't know if you all know who Tom Clancy is, because I know who Tom Clancy is because my dad happens to be a fan. He wrote a bunch of like military and spy novels and stuff, and a lot of them have been like turned into movies and video games and stuff like that since then. But she's talking about like they're paying this douche canoe this amount of money for all of this other stuff. Why are they not like, why can't I get 10,000 when he can get 3 million, right? And granted, is part of that likely because she's not exactly the kindest human being on the planet?
Well, yeah.
But also, I mean, they don't touch on it in the movie. I did a little bit of research because I am naturally curious. So IRL Lee Israel had written 2 biographies, and before this, one of her biographies that was the one that she mentions, like she was a New York Times bestseller. She had written a biography for, I'm pulling up the name so I don't screw it up. She had written a biography on Dorothy Kilgallen. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. That had done really well. And then she got paid a lot of money to write a biography on Estee Lauder. And it was not great, and it was rushed because Estee Lauder was writing an autobiography at the time. And she pushed it out before her, and it flopped like really hard. And if you notice when he's talking about,
they show it
here on it's the Estee Lauder book,
and it's 75% off.
75% off.
And
the disrespect.
And the interesting thing about it is Estee Lauder offered her money to not write the biography, like a lot of money to not do it. And she's like, I am a writer. I will write this book. And she later admitted that it was a massive mistake because she wasn't passionate about the work, and it showed in the quality of the piece. And it killed her career as a writer. Like that's all it took at the time. And we talk about how one performance can ruin an actor's career. Like with an author, can you imagine the amount of time and effort it probably took her to write that biography, just in general, even if it wasn't great, right? And
the amount of research alone.
Yeah, truly.
And coming off of a New York Times best-selling biography, right? Quite literally the peak of the profession, honestly. Like one of the absolute most incredible honors you could ever have. And then one flop of a book and you're done. And now I'm getting fired from my job, and I can't even get an advance on my next biography on something that is much more akin writing about Fanny Bryce compared to, Estee Lauder of all people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know who Fanny was. Sorry to that person. But
Hasn't watched Glee. Mm-mm.
No, I have not. No, I really have not.
The disrespect.
But you know who was a big fan? My cousin. That I bring up a lot. But so I do know a little bit because he used to make me watch like some episodes sometimes, but sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'll get to it eventually. For Jane Lynch alone, I will get to it. Trust.
Mother. Another person is not safe to not love if you're around these parts. Sorry about it.
Truly. We love her.
I do want to talk about I don't know if we can jump back or whatever, but I want to mention so I don't forget the whole thing with the cat. I just it really got me. You know that I lost my cat like a year ago, so it's sort of kind of recent. It's been like a year basically. And she was also like this kind of the same age. I think she was like 12. I think it was like she was old, and it was horrible. And I cannot even imagine if it was like if that had happened when I left someone else to take care of her. Yeah. Like that would have fucking broke me if that happened to me. Like, I feel guilty because like I was taking care of her, but it was just like it was a normal thing of like old cats get that, and there was nothing really I could have done, right?
Yeah.
But maybe I'm misremembering, but when she left the cat with Jack, she did say 1 pill twice a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like he did kill the cat by giving her twice the medication that she needed at once, right?
I believe so, yes.
So, and because he was like hungover or whatever after trashing my apartment and doing drugs and smoking because I told him not to, and then fucking someone in my bed. Like, okay. Like, damn. When she was like screaming and like crying and screaming for them to leave, like I get that. Like I would have been the same. Yeah. And I was sobbing. Like I sobbed at that whole scene, and then taking the little body to the vat because she didn't know what to do with the Oh my god.
No. Ugh. And at this point, she is like deep into the forgery, right? Like she's
already like going through a lot before that.
Yeah.
She is like traveled out of town to make duplicates of real letters so that way those can be authenticated and stuff. And
which
like
was Jack's idea.
Which Jack's idea. She's like stealing these real letters and replacing them with duplicated fakes. And like she is deep at this point. But there's just something so humanizing about the way Melissa McCarthy acts in this movie that even if she's doing some shady shit, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just gonna be blunt. I like, but when she gets back to her apartment and you see her reaction, and Jack's like, "Oh, talking about the guy, thinking that she's upset that he brought a guy over to her apartment." And he just didn't. He didn't do the one thing she asked her to do. The one thing. Now, granted, has she treated him pretty poorly throughout the film? Yes, but man, I feel really bad, especially because we see early in the movie how much her cat means to her, and throughout the film we see how much her cat means to her. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, to me, it was kind of the moment that reminded me that Lee is a human being at the end of the day, because after like all of the forgeries and all of the like all of the things going on in her life, like I kind of forgot that she was just a normal human being, and I just kind of kept seeing her as like this con artist that like just was a bitch and was like really focused on getting to where she needed to get to, or like doing what she wanted to do. And so this moment really reminded me that like, oh, she's still a human being with feelings that can like feel hurt and can feel mad and can like, and I can still really sympathize with this woman, even though I don't agree with the things that she is doing.
Yeah. And also, the moment that we get the little lore of like why her last relationship didn't work, and like, of
Mhm.
course, we kind of got that idea from her when like with the drinking and with how her character was before we got this information, but with the like emotional wall or like not being able to be vulnerable with other people and all of that, and like
Mhm.
not really opening herself up to let people really love her because she says like my cat was the only being that ever loved me for real. But like that's like I understand her the all of the possible reasons she could have for like the fear of rejection and like why
Mhm.
she put up that wall. Like I'm sure there are reasons and we don't get a lot of that
Mhm.
of the whys, but I think it's understandable that is like a thing about the way that she grew up or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or past experiences.
Yeah.
Um and even she says like kind of life taught her to not trust people, right? Um and so like you can I sympathize with her, but it's also partially her fault that she was never truly loved because she never really gave anyone a chance to fully do that as well,
Mhm.
right? So it's kind of like you really do get a full like a fully developed character here that you see like the bad, the ugly, everything.
Yeah.
And I love that. And no excuses, like she's not like I don't know. Well, one thing that I remember that I wrote down is about the acting for Melissa McCarthy was that without saying the words, we were able to see with her expression and everything the guilt that she felt throughout the time that she was doing all of that.
Mhm.
Like especially after the date when they're like her and Anna are outside talking, like she's kind of reminded that she's also like scamming the person that potentially could love her, and like you can just see the guilt in her face and she never
Mhm.
says anything about it, but it's just palpable throughout the whole
Okay,
movie.
I am gonna throw a little bit of something at Anna though. I feel there's a little bit of like ulterior motive here from Anna that
I do agree with that.
like just a little bit because we're talking about like okay, her being interested in Lee, cool, that's great, no problems there. Lesbians,
Mhm.
woo. But I do think it's a little bit weird how she keeps like on the first date you two are having where the boundaries of the relationship haven't even really been fully set at this point. You're I know she already said she would read your work, but you're just giving it to her in the middle of the date and you keep on talking about it. Like it feels a little bit off to me. She may not know the entire set of Lee's circumstances, so in her mind, she
Mhm.
might think Lee is still like successful and might have good connections that could possibly boost her potential in the writing industry. Like we don't really get to see a ton of her perspective, but it does feel a little bit off here.
Or
I'm not
maybe
gonna
even like
say
free mentoring or like whatever, like
Yeah.
something like that. But
That's
I will say one thing because I hadn't thought of that, but I think
Mhm.
you're right. Only because I don't think it would be weird if she just like if it came up as a topic of conversation during the date, right? Because it had already been brought up before, and because also like they both bonded originally or initially over their love of writing and literature. So like that would make sense given how
Mhm.
they met, right? It's
yeah.
the reason why I agree with you is the fact that she took the writing she took it to the date. She didn't just mention
Mhm.
she took it with her. She planned and she was like, I'm gonna take this just in case. You know what I mean? If she had just brought it up and
Mhm.
then they're like, oh, next time we see each other, then I'll bring it to you or whatever. Cool. But it's the fact that she premeditated it and took her writing to the date that I agree.
Yeah.
She could
Like
have had ulterior motive. We don't know, right?
yeah, for me, the reason why I also think that she had ulterior motives is because from the very get-go, when she gives her number, it's like we had already had an establishing scene where we know that Anna does like Lee's writing, or at least is a fan somewhat of their writing. So once she comes back again, it's immediately like, hey, can you check out my writing? I have written before, and it's like trying to slyly like trying to get her to read it, and then it be, and then immediately afterwards she's like, well, I'm gonna give you my number just in case you need anything. So like to me that is pretty apparent that it was like a, I want you to help me become a more successful author rather than like, oh, I'm actually interested in pursuing something with you. And then obviously once she took out her writing on the first day, it was like, okay, okay, at this point it's obvious. It's like screaming
Yeah.
at the top of your lungs, like, help me become a writer, help me now. Like it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, we anytime we see Lee try to have some sort of relationship in this movie, I think she just needed to work on herself, and I don't think she really wanted to do that. And you know what?
Mhm.
Power to her. I don't think everyone needs to be like if now granted, she does not appear to be quite happy in this film, but
Yeah.
No.
if you're just not wanting to do that, like if you aren't in the place to work on yourself yet, which honestly one could argue she's not,
Mhm.
then maybe
As long as you accept the consequences and you are aware, like, okay, I'm not ready or I don't want to work on myself for whatever reason it is. I think that's fair. Not everyone is ready or is willing, and that's fine, right?
Mhm.
Um, but then accept that some people are not gonna want to maybe be around you because of that, and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Because you can choose not to work on yourself just as much as people can choose not to be around you because of that, right? You know,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
and I feel like maybe she doesn't necessarily enjoy the consequences of that, but I
Mhm.
feel like she accepts it for the most part, right? She kind of
Yeah.
expects it, I think, of
Yeah.
like,
She's
I know that by not be by living and being the way that I am, I know I'm gonna like turn off a lot of people and
yeah, like
opportunities and whatever.
she's become accustomed to it at this
Yeah.
point. Like it's happened so much to her that like it's what she expects out of people, I think.
Yeah. And out of life, right?
Yeah.
Like being like not just like with the thing with her agent, right? Like and being rejected like professionally, not just in her personal life.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I wanted to talk about one, like just mention one quick scene that I thought was it just brought me so much joy.
Mhm.
Was when because I loved the day or the night where she met Jack, like their meeting and the blossoming of their friendship. Two
Mhm.
broken people that are flawed, but like it was just so fun to watch them like develop that
Mhm.
friendship. But especially when he takes her to the drag singing like jazz show
Yeah,
kind
of
of cabaret.
course.
Like that
Mhm.
was so sweet because he was like, you know what, we don't have to like spend all our money or whatever, but like let's do something to celebrate and like live life because life is so shitty. So let's just like
Mhm.
have some fun, you know? And
Yeah.
I love
Mhm.
that.
Shout out to all the agoraphobic junkies that stayed home.
Period. See, that
Um,
should have been my thing, not RIP Jersey. That was a very good line.
yeah, I
Yeah.
want to touch on something I think is pretty important that we do need to talk about is the conclusion of the film, where
Mhm.
you know Jack has, in her mind, killed her cat. And at this point, Jack is only a business partner. They are no longer friends. She does not care.
Mhm.
Take this; it's real. Let them do all the authentication we want. Other than that, I don't care. And you bring me a
Yeah.
receipt back, so I know you're not stealing from me.
She said, I want the receipts.
Yeah. But they're already on to them. Jack gets caught. He gives them information. She gets arrested. Um, and when she's in court and she's having that little moment to speak before her sentencing, there's just this. At first, I thought they were going to play it like this cliche kind of moment of her reading directly from her notes, and then that was just going to be the whole bit. But no, she's like, I don't like. You might expect me to regret it. I don't regret it. Like, I don't feel bad about doing this. It was
Mhm.
fun. It might have been the most fun of my entire life.
So
Right.
honest, like
And
so real.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you talk your talk, queen. I can't even with you. But then as she goes on, I think that is when she processes everything, is in court when she's speaking, because she says, "But I lost my cat. And I lost my friend who might have been an idiot, but he like
Tolerated me
tolerated
is
me."
amazing.
Yeah. And in that moment, I'm like, God, I cannot imagine anybody but Melissa McCarthy doing this. Like really. Because originally, I don't know if you all know this, this was supposed to be Julianne Moore, but she dropped out of the project. And like,
Oh,
as much as
Whoa.
I love Julianne Moore, right, and I do,
Right, but she's great, but not. I don't for this.
I can't see
I
this
don't
being
think.
Julianne Moore.
yeah.
Yeah, and in the same way, Sam Rockwell was originally supposed to play Jack, and he also dropped out of the project. I can't imagine Sam Rockwell doing this any better than Richard E. Grant did. And I love Sam Rockwell. He has been in a bunch of really good movies. Like, honestly, like, if you have not had the pleasure of watching Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, go do that for yourself. But like, really, as much as I like both of them, and they're both incredibly talented, the two of them have such human performances in this movie that I cannot imagine this movie working without them in any capacity. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. At some points, it's kind of like, to me, it was. At some points, it's like you kind of forget their acting because it really just felt they were living in those characters. Like it felt very real to me. It was they were both fantastic.
Yeah, and that is truly a feat that like not many people can accomplish, because a lot of the times when you are like a very well-known actor, no matter what you're playing, whether it's like a superhero, you're like playing a super dramatic role, whether you're playing like whatever, they like it kind of just like, since it's your face, it's like, oh, that's, I don't fucking know, that's Robert Downey Jr. playing this character, instead of, oh, that's the character. And so the fact that we are able to forget that this is Melissa McCarthy and Richard E. Grant, that is an accomplishment in and of its own. So yet again, keep singing praises to the acting of this movie. I could go on for days, but that truly is a huge compliment. And specifically, as you said, Brooke, like when she is giving her final like monologue, I guess, to the judge, it really like, it was truly amazing. It was like the best part of this movie, in my opinion, or the best acting that I saw in this movie. And so I have to give huge props for that, because it was truly, truly amazing to watch.
See,
Isn't it nice
we talked a lot.
Movie?
Yeah.
What?
Isn't it really nice getting to say nice things about a Richard E. Grant movie after how we had to talk about Gosford Park?
Well, yes, it does feel good.
Yeah, truly it does. It does.
It's refreshing.
Cannot wait for people to see that at some point.
Yes, I don't want to do it, but I can't wait. I can't wait for people to see it.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. But we did mention a lot about the acting performances, and yes, but I did want to shout out the score and the soundtrack were so good. Like I mentioned before, like the score, I only mention it when it's so good or so bad that I notice it during the movie. And I really was impressed, and I thought it was fantastically done. Like every choice with the sound of this movie was perfect for me. Shout out. There was another one thing that I wanted to talk about was I was talking about the friendship between Lee and Jack when they come back. Because they're gonna do the deal with the fly situation, like the exterminator, whatever, or going to her apartment, and the exterminator says it smells too bad and he needs to come back, and then like she's embarrassed, she makes everyone leaves, and then Jack is like knocking back on the door, and he's like, I'll help you, and he just stays and helps her clean. Like having a friend that will help you clean the cat shit under your bed, that is real. Like Jack was so fucking real for that. And it's why like I love their friendship, because they both help each other. Like he helped her, and then she helped him with like giving him a place to stay, right? And all of that, and And I love also at the scene at the end where after everything that they have been through and like they both have wronged each other in different ways and also helped each other.
Mhm.
Where they're like they come back and like Jack is sick and then he's like, well, I'm still mad at you, and she's like kind of like, oh, I'm still mad at you too, and then they kind of like make up and like yeah, they accept that like they both fucked up and like they still love each other and they're still gonna be there for each other and all of that. And I just that's just real. That's reality,
Mhm.
Not everyone is maybe as fucked up, and like the things that go on are not necessarily on this level, but that's real friendship, I think. When you
Yeah.
can, go through those hard times and like come back and be like, you know what? We were both wrong at some point, but we still have love for each other and yeah, and support.
Yeah.
Especially like two queer people in the 90s. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, yeah. A lesbian and a gay, yes, love it.
Yeah. I
We
truly
need more
feel
of
like
that.
yeah, I truly feel like we've all had a moment in our lives where like we've had a disagreement or a fight with a friend of ours, and you're just like still mad at them, but you still have this deep love for them. So you like you want to forgive them, but you are like having this inner struggle of like I am still allowed to be mad at you and still love you at the same time. And so, as I said, I think that relationship between Leah and Jack is so interesting to me because I don't really think we ever get to see that. Like, or I haven't seen that in the movie in a while at the very least. Because most of the time it's like, oh, I'm mad at you. And then we come back and then, oh, it's all forgiven. Now we're besties again. I haven't seen a movie in a while at the very least where like that complexity of a relationship of like I love you but I'm still mad at you has been portrayed. And so I really appreciate this movie for really like showing us how complex not only these characters are but how complex the relationship between them and other people are. So huge props for that.
Yeah.
Um, and that conversation is also really interesting because she's kind of asking him there for again a selfish reason. Like it has
Mhm.
nothing to do with trying to mend a fence, really. It's just her being like, hey, I want to write a book about us. Can I do that?
Mhm.
And he has every right to tell her no. He has every right to tell her to go fuck off and he doesn't want to speak to her. Now, granted, she has every right
And
to be
initially he
considerate too.
does,
And
right?
initially,
Like initially he's like, nah.
but
Yeah.
I kind
Absolutely
of
not.
read that as joking more than
Yeah, I did
serious.
too.
Oh, okay,
'Cause,
okay.
for me at least. Um, but that conversation is just so beautiful. And okay, when he's in there and he takes off his hat and he's talking about how it was going to catch up with me eventually. At first, I thought they were going to play it serious, but then she's like, well, I mean, you did fuck your way through all of Manhattan. And I'm like, for a movie set in the 90s, that is a bold ass joke to say. I'm
Yeah,
just going to
truly.
say.
But it shows that like how close they are and like how because yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
he wasn't
It's
necessarily being safe.
yeah. Yeah, between all the drugs and like all of the hooking up he was doing, he said it was bound to catch up to him.
Yeah.
So
Or maybe it was implying that like whenever they met, he already knew that he had it and he knew that like it was about to get bad and that's why he was living it up. Maybe. And doing
I
the drugs and fucking. And then maybe he was being safe so he wouldn't pass it on to anyone else. I don't know.
I highly doubt that the sexual intercourse that we saw in this movie was anywhere near safe. So I
Well,
imagine that he figured out after like
right.
everything happened.
I don't know when he figured it out, but all I can say is that scene really was important to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It felt correct for the two of them to go out in that way with each other.
Yeah.
Um, and then we get the actual ending of the movie, which I find to be
So
perfect, by
hilarious.
the way.
Insane.
Um,
Hilarious.
she's walking down the street, and in this window of this bookstore, there's a note. There's a correspondence letter from Dorothy Parker. Only it's not from Dorothy Parker because Lee wrote that letter her damned self.
Yes.
And she goes inside and asks the guy, how much are you wanting for that letter? And he's like, oh, $1,900 or whatever. And she goes back home and she's like, I am so sorry to you for, blah, 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 blah. She's like, pity to poor Lee Israel for someone paying her a fraction of that money for you to then sell it to you for an exorbitant.
Just trolling him.
Totally shit out of him. But doing it in a way that's also kind of like, hey, just so you know, that's fake, and you should, just in case.
So good.
Also, shout out to that
the tone was perfect. It really did describe perfectly this character. Like, it's just...
But then I think a lesser movie would have him get rid of the letter. But no, he goes into the display window, picks it up, and then he puts it back on display. I don't know what
furthering the point of the movie of like, that's of how people like her will continue to exist, and people that sell what she was doing will continue to do that because it's profitable to them. And
I'm confused. I don't know what they mean by that, because on the one hand, yes, there are, we see in this movie there are people who are like these bookstore owners, these sellers, these collectors are like, I don't care if it's real or not, people will pay for whatever they think is real, right? But then on the other hand, is it a note from him of like, I don't care either? Or is it a note from him of like, well, I mean, even if it is fake, it's by a pretty iconic forger now at this point in time in history. So is it worth something that way? Is it just something he finds fun and cool that he's just going to keep on display because he can, right? Like, I don't fully get the intent, but I love it no matter what the intent is. I think it works really well. And it is kind of a perfect way for this movie to end, because it's noted throughout the movie that Dorothy Parker may not be the writer that she started with, but it's the one that she connected with the most and was like pulled in with. Like she says, I'm a better Dorothy Parker than Dorothy Parker. I aspire to be that confident in life, but like,
totally. Oh my god.
And I love that the title is pulled from one of her like closings from one of her Dorothy Parker letters. She's like, I'm going to start signing all of my letters. Can you ever forgive me? But until I start doing that, can you ever forgive me, Dorothy Parker? Like, it's great. It's incredible.
Yeah. Talking about funny things, there were two funny moments that I quickly wanted to mention. One was when she was leaving Jack to take care of the house or whatever, she was giving him instructions, and she said, don't go near my bed and don't smoke in the apartment. And then he's like, okay. And then as soon as she leaves and closes the door, he smokes in her bed. I love it. It's so good.
What a piece of shit.
It's so good. And then when she gets like the FBI catches her and they're like, oh, you are forbidden to destroy any evidence pertinent to this case, cuts to her
immediately
destroying all the evidence she possibly can. It's so good.
What?
Yes.
A little scene that we haven't talked about that I did think was pretty funny was when she was leaving the party and she just straight up goes to the coat check and it's like, oh, I forgot my ticket, but it's that coat right there.
Yep.
And she just
stealing up toilet paper from the bathroom like before that. Like one of the first things is like she's just stealing toilet paper. I love it. So funny.
Insane.
Yeah. Absolutely unhinged. So good. Oh, and I wanted to also quickly mention the conversation when she had the conversation with her ex, with Elaine, when they talked in the park. And she was initially wanting to talk because of the cat dying, whatever. But then before, the reason when Elaine was leaving, because Lee started talking about her problems, and then Elaine said, I can't talk you off the edge anymore. It's exhausting. And then left. Mm-hmm. Like that, I feel like that was one thing that was very, one of the things that I think inspired her to later on have the idea to do that book. And also when she goes home, I think after this, she gets her very fair sentence, by the way. Like, I think that she did, she got very lucky. And I think it was good for her. And then she goes back home and reads the story that Aunt Anna gave her to read that she hadn't gotten to before. And I also think that like reading that story was also a part of one of the things that inspired her to like do her own thing with the writing. Of like being inspired by this person. Like if this person trusted me to read their story, then there must be something about me. Like why can't I do what they're doing? Right?
Yeah, I think I also think like they had told her like for a while now, why don't you write about yourself instead of writing about others? And so it felt like a full like circle moment where she finally stops writing biographies about other people and stops forging other people's like letters and finally like chooses to put herself first and finally chooses like I'm finally going to open myself up to the world and be, even if it's a little bit, I'm going to be vulnerable a little bit and show my side of the story, which I think is like a very nice ending to the whole mess that we created in this movie.
Oh, and with the new kitty,
Yeah, the
so
moment she
cute.
got back
Love
home,
it.
I was like, she's going to get another cat. There is no way she's not going to get
Yes.
another cat.
And that's also like a part of her healing and being like open to, because a lot of what I feel with her is like the fear of being rejected and getting hurt was stopping her from even trying, right?
Yeah.
In many ways, right? In many areas of her life. And then I think like everything, the way the movie ended with her writing something new and about herself and getting the kitty and like all of that, she was, because when you get a new pet, it's like you're also opening yourself up to be heartbroken again if like when they eventually pass,
Yeah.
And also one thing that she said during the movie is that she was like, no one's interested in me, like no one cares about me. And I think that because of also her experience in life and like being rejected constantly by just life, right, in different areas throughout her life, also I think put that idea in her head of like, I could write something about my selfhood, but who would buy, like who would care? No one cares about me, right?
Yeah, and I do a couple of things I want to note here is that one, she's writing it on a computer. The entire other part of the movie, she's been writing on a typewriter, and I like that like mental progression of her moving forward and like out of the past and into the future. It's a nice little nod to that. Maybe that wasn't even what they were intended, but you know what?
It was to show that like a few years, like if a good amount of time had passed, I think.
Good art doesn't have accidents, okay?
Yeah. What they taught me in art school is once you put your art out there, whatever anyone interprets off of it is never wrong. Just because you didn't intend it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Yeah. If you take something out of a piece of art, that is correct. You are absolutely right. If this is a transition from her moving on from her past and moving into the future, that is correct.
Well, and I like that it also shows that she's in a good enough place, like financially, where she is now comfortable because she's working and like doing, like she's in a good mental health place. And I think she kind of just needed a bit of a wake up call. I think that did help her move forward. I will say the real late Israel we do see passed away in 2014. It's in the end of the outro of the film, which I also really like, how they have these little like typewritten letters on the side of like extra information that didn't really make sense to go anywhere else in the movie. It was just stuff that they found important to note.
Well, because it was based on a true story that like the little like what happened to the real people after the movie, right? After the story that was told in the movie. I like that little extra thing. And also being done by like in typewriter style was a nice touch.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
okay, before we get to, because I'm like, I don't know. I was still deciding my score, right? And I forgot to mention the one thing that I was debating over my score is I understand why this wasn't shown because the movie is based on the book that was told by Lee's perspective of everything that happened, right? I wanted to see Anna's reaction when she found out everything that happened. Like, I understand why we didn't get it, because Lee also couldn't know, because she didn't see it. She can't know, right? So we don't have that information. So I understand why it's not there, and I also appreciate that they didn't show us something that they don't know existed, right? They didn't make something up.
Yeah.
And so I don't really blame them for that necessarily, right? But that was just the one thing, because I was thinking, what is lacking from this movie to me? And that was the only thing I could think of. I wanted that, but I understand why we didn't get it.
But we kind of did get it a little bit. We don't get to see her finding out like a motive reaction, but we do get that moment of her walking past
the window.
Store, looking in the window, and Anna sees her, makes eye contact with her, and then just like turns away and just avoids her. And I think that was enough for me. That's enough for me to go, I get it. This makes sense to me. I get it. She's just, that was enough of a conclusion for me, because also Anna is not in enough of this movie where I feel like she needs that like physical reaction moment. Like there wasn't really anybody in this film that I felt like I needed that from. I think because really the people we spend time with that we care about are Jack and Lee. Outside of them, I just don't feel like anybody else matters enough to the plot for me to be like, I really want to see how they reacted to this. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just me.
I agree with that. Like, it would have been interesting to see it, but at the same time, it was not something I needed to feel satisfied at the end of the movie.
Yeah. It was, to me, it was just like something extra that I wish I could have had, but I'm like, it doesn't take away from the movie either, like the fact that we didn't get it, right?
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that they didn't make anything up. Like they didn't just put it there to put it there as well. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I still don't know. We're gonna get to scores, right? I'm assuming, but I'm still thinking.
Well, if you want, you can go last.
Yeah.
So we give you time to think.
Eduardo, is your score stable from what you put on Letterboxd?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I will go first then. So as this was my choice, and it's customary, I have waffled back and forth, and I've been a little too nice lately, but I don't think this is the movie I should be mean to. And I don't think I can be mean to this movie. I don't have any problems with it, and if I did have problems with it, I would have said them. Five.
That's fair.
Five. But Eduardo.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit more of a hater than you. I do like this movie. I think this movie's great. There's truly nothing actually wrong with this movie, but for me, I've just seen movies that I like more, and so I just couldn't bring myself to fully give it the 5-star. But I still think it's good. I still think it's great. I just wasn't fully as gripped as I would have liked to be. But like, I don't know what I would have done to change that fact. So I found myself struggling a lot about how to score this movie. But at the end of the day, the score that I gave it just felt right. So I give it a 4 out of 5. It's still really good, but just not perfect, unfortunately.
See, I'm debating between a different score than what you gave, but what you said about how you feel about it is how I feel. Like, I there's nothing I can be like that's like, what would I fix or whatever. I'm just comparing it to other movies that I would give a perfect score. I don't know if I like it as much, but like I also can't like say anything that I think is wrong with it. And I must say I was very like entertaining, like into the story. Like I was locked into the story the whole time. It is just like the only thing is because I am comparing it to other movies. And I think my conclusion is that maybe I shouldn't do that. And because if I don't compare this to anything else and I think of thinking of this standing alone, I think I'm gonna consider that instead of like just comparing it to other things. So I am gonna give it a 5 as well.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I was thinking like maybe a 4.5, but I'm like, but why though? Why? Why be a hater? It's a directed by a woman. I love the lead actress. Like I'm not gonna find a reason to hate on it. No.
Fair.
Interestingly, this is the first time we have ever had this particular set of scores of 554, 4.67 on the average, which is a pretty great score. So congratulations to Can You Ever Forgive Me and the entire cast, especially Melissa McCarthy and Richard E. Grant. Yay! I'm happy we covered this. I had a very good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
now that we have all had our original selections for Female Directors Month, we had to make a deal with River, which was that Eduardo and I had a movie we wanted to cover this month, and River did not want to do it. I'll just be blunt. So the bargain that we struck was that, okay, River, if you let Eduardo and I pick this film, you can have the other selection in May. And River would deal. River said it was a deal. So River gets to go first. So River, let us know what we're covering next week.
Yes. So, like I mentioned last week, I wanted to bring as many Brazilian films that I love within the themes that we have, as many as I could to share with you. And so, I decided to go with Opaio, a movie from 2007. Directed by Monique Gardenberg, I think is her last name. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. And this is a movie that I remember watching it, not when it came out because I was too young, but I watched it when I was like in high school. I was a teenager. And I only remember watching it during that time, like maybe twice. And I haven't revisited it in so long that there's a lot of things that I don't remember about it besides how it made me feel. And that the acting performances were fantastic.
Mhm.
And so and like the main like theme, right? But I don't remember a lot of it, and I've been wanting to revisit it myself, so I chose it to share with y'all as well. And I'm excited to see what you think, because this is a different kind of serious, but there's also music. It's set during Carnival, so it's a lot of things at the same time, as
Okay.
Brazilian things are usually.
Yes, of course.
Well, everybody, you know what's coming next week. Your hint for the week after next is that it's a little spooky. There you go. So you're a bit spooky. But there you go. So that's what's coming up in a couple weeks. But next week, River, say it one more time so I don't butcher it.
Opaio.
Thank you very much. You're going to be doing the
Yeah.
title every time because I will screw it up.
I got you, baby.
So that's what we're covering next week. Thank you so much for joining us here today to talk about Can You Ever Forgive Me? Let us know what you think of it on the way out. Let us know down below. How much do you love Melissa McCarthy? The answer better be with every fiber in your being. And of course, while you're here, hit the subscribe button if you'd like. We're trying out some new stuff and getting some new content coming up soon. But honestly, we just appreciate you being here this long. Thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, after Female Directors Month, we do have more coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned for all of that. But unfortunately, we have ran out of popcorn. We have drank our entire soda, and no one ever eats more than one soft pretzel. So we're going to have to get out of here, everybody. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.